about Huda, we'll talk about our way. Come join us and have your say. Let's talk about our way. Remember, you are not alone. Huda is the light in your home. We'll talk about Huda, we'll talk about our way. Come join us and have your say. Let's talk about our way. Remember, you are not alone. Huda is the light in your home. Remember, you are not alone. Huda is the light in your home.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, dear viewers, to another live episode of Viewers Pulse. And I'm your host, Junaid Dar. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for bringing us together to serve His beautiful deen. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank all the viewers for their continual support, for their continual praise to make this channel and this program a success that it is. Dear viewers, Viewers Pulse is your program. This is an hour for us to communicate with one another. It's your opportunity to come forward and to use this hour to express your views, to express your opinions, to express your concerns. It's your opportunity. Not just that, but it's your opportunity to serve the beautiful deen, the beautiful faith of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by getting involved, by getting engaged. We look forward to hearing your questions, your comments, your concerns, even if you have criticism, positive criticism that is. Call us, give us whatever it is on your mind. We want to improve this channel. We want to make the programs the best quality that they are. We want to bring topics that you want to hear. We want to have guests that you look forward to hearing from. So it's your thoughts, it's your questions, it's your queries that really drive this channel. So we're asking you to get involved and to give us all that which is in your mind, inshallah ta'ala. Now, there are a number of ways in which you can get involved with the channel. First and foremost, and the most direct way, is by calling us. You can see there across your screens, you have two different phone numbers. You can pick up your phones and use any of those two's number there running across your screen. If you're calling outside of Egypt, then please don't forget to use the code which is inside the brackets, the 002, and your phone call will come direct into the studio live on the program, and I will do my very best to answer your question or your comment or anything that you bring forward. If I'm unable to do so, I promise you I'll put it forward to those that are more qualified than myself. So that's the first way of dealing or getting involved with the channel, is by phone. Let's say you are unable to get to a phone for whatever reason may be, then of course you can jump onto your phones, your computers, and you can send us an email. And our email address for the show is pulse@huda.tv. Now, dear viewers, all your emails are read by a team which is dedicated to responding to your emails in the quickest and most swiftest of ways possible. So we do take time with the emails and we do respond appropriately as much as we can. And I do have in front of me some of those emails that you've given to us over the last week, inshallah ta'ala, and our team will respond to the other emails. So please do send us your emails and I will try my very best to communicate with you here on the channel. If I'm unable to do so, there will be somebody sitting on the other side of the computer who will respond to your emails. Now, another mode of communication, and this is one of my personal favorites, and that's through Facebook. If you jump onto Facebook and you type in Huda TV, you will see our fantastic page. Our page is full of color, full of life, full of different articles that you can take benefit from, full of verses from the Quran, hadith, the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are so many things that you can benefit from our Facebook page. You can keep engaged with it for hours. There's so many things there for each person to enjoy from. Not just that, but dear viewers, we're also very proud to say that we are now edging towards nearly 300,000 likes. SubhanAllah. Isn't that amazing? Only yesterday I remember being here and mentioning that we have 250,000, and now we are edging closer and closer to 300,000, which clearly shows the success of the channel, clearly showing how you are enjoying and benefiting from our Facebook page and our channel at large. So brothers and sisters, please do get involved, and please do spread our page to your friends and your families. Invite them to take use of this source of good. Now just imagine, by your efforts, you put forward this page to your friend or your family. They look at it, they read it, and they adopt something from it. They adopt a teaching of Islam. They adopt a manner or an etiquette which is brought forward from the Quran or from the Sunnah. You will get this reward. You will have the reward of every action that you are teaching. So let's be engaged, let's be positive, and let's be in the forefront. Let's try to be engaged in da'wah, promoting this beautiful deen. And one of the ways you can do that is by promoting the page which promotes goodness and virtue. So you can use our Facebook page. And one other great benefit of our page is the fact that it has a link taking you directly to our official Huda TV webpage, and that's Huda TV. Now, this webpage is amazing. It's the official page, so you will see our programs there, our itinerary. You will see a list of all of our programs running 7 days a week, 24 hours every single day, and you can choose the programs that are suitable to your schedule according to your timetable. Also, our official page does give you articles, regular articles about Islamic issues, current affairs. There's also a section there which will take you to things pertaining to sisters, so you can take benefit from that. Not just that, but also you have insight into the scholars that are involved with Huda TV, those that work in front of the cameras and those that work behind the cameras, giving us their support, giving us their prayers. You will see all that information there. And for those that are interested, you would also see some information about the presenters. What do they do on camera? What programs do they present? And what do they do in their spare time? What do they get involved in behind the cameras as well? So please do visit our official page. Do enjoy it. There's lots of information there, and we strongly encourage everyone to make use of that. Now, if you can also make use of our Twitter, which is twitter.com Huda TV channel. Now, why is it important to subscribe to our Twitter account? Because it's directly linked to our Facebook page. Now, as soon as you subscribe, you will get immediate updates coming through to you onto your Twitter. You will see your phones, your iPads, or whatever device that you have bleeping away and keeping you in contact with the channel's activities 24 hours of the day, 7 days a week, constantly being involved and being linked with Huda TV. So please do sign up and do subscribe to us on Twitter. Now, our next mode of communication, and this is the most important, I would say, that's through YouTube. If you jump onto YouTube and you type in youtube.com/Huda TV, you will see our channel. Now, why do I say it's the most important? Of course, we are a TV channel, so you will see all of our activities there. Not just that, but you will see an archive of our programs, so you can select whichever program you want to watch through date or through topics or through speakers. Everything is archived there in sequence and in order, so you can take benefit of that. Not just that, but also on our YouTube page, you can get engaged in conversations and discussions under each video, whichever one that it is that is pleasing to you. You can leave your comments there, and people will respond to it appropriately. Alhamdulillah, you can see all the various programs there running across your screen, which you can take benefit from Huda Tonight to contemporary affairs. So you can make benefit of that. But the most important feature on our YouTube page is what? It's the live streaming, of course. By the click of a button, you are able to watch our program for absolutely free, 24 hours of the day, 7 days a week, in the comfort of your home. So do go onto YouTube, and most importantly, don't forget to subscribe. You must subscribe to our channel. We are trying our very best to promote these programs and to promote this goodness, promote the correct teaching of Islam according to the Quran and to the Sunnah, and we need your help. It's your channel, so we need you to support us by subscribing to our channel. Our last mode of communication, and that goes to Skype. Our Skype address is as follows: Huda_TV. So please befriend us on Skype. You will see us. Usually our light is green, so you can engage in a conversation, be it through typing or be it through voice, or even if you want to send us some information, you're more than welcome to through Skype. So please do join us on that mode of communication, and we will try our very best to be on the other side to respond in the quickest time possible. So dear viewers, you have a list there of possible ways in which you can communicate with us, and Viewers Pulse is the program for communication. So either way, whichever way is most comfortable to you, please do join us on those modes, and please do engage with us on our program today. Now, this brings us to the next segment of the program, and that is the topic of the day. Now, for those of you who have been active and jumped onto our Facebook page, that's Viewers Pulse, you will see an image. And this image is a very powerful image. And I strongly encourage all the viewers now who are watching to open your Facebook accounts, to jump onto Viewers Pulse, and to look at this image. This image speaks 1,000 words. This image will bring tears to your eyes. This image will move your hearts. This image will force you to become active and to take your deen much more seriously. Yes, of course, the topic for today is a crisis that's taking place on the shores of Europe. And this crisis is getting worse and worse by the day. It is none other than the refugee crisis. So you will see our image there on Facebook, Viewers Pulse, and I strongly recommend that you leave your comments underneath that picture. And inshallah ta'ala, I will read any comment that you put forward live in the studio. So do get involved, do get engaged in the discussion here about the refugee crisis. Now, dear viewers, many of these people who are fleeing their countries are Muslim, coming from a number of different Muslim countries, fleeing war, fleeing famine, fleeing the brutality of their regimes, and they are trying to find a safe haven or a place or a new life in Europe. And unfortunately, in order for them to do that, they must make a very dangerous journey across the Mediterranean Sea and then through into Europe. And that's our discussion for today. How do you feel about the refugee crisis? What comes to your mind? How do your feelings, how do you express yourself when you see such images and when you see or hear about such news of how thousands of people, children, women, men, old people, are fleeing their countries, jumping into small dinghies which really are not designed to even carry 3 or 4 or a small number of people, but yet they are filled up with up to hundreds and some even thousands of people jumping on there trying to cross over across the Mediterranean Sea. And dear viewers, sorry to say, but even that condition, one would not put animals in such dinghies to cross over such a sea. And as you can see there, there is the image of a young boy who is a victim of the refugee crisis, lying there dead and on the shores of Greece. It's a very sad image, and that image moves the hearts. It makes the eyes tear. It makes your iman, it makes your chest become moved. So what do you think of that image? How sad is it that we in the 21st century are seeing such sad images? And history will write, dear viewers, history will write that a young Arab boy was fleeing his own country, a Muslim, was fleeing his own country, fellow Muslims, and he was seeking safety and protection on the shores of Egypt, on the shores of Europe, trying to seek protection in non-Muslim lands, but yet he died in the process. Now, how sad is that? History will dictate and history will write this event took place. And you know what? That young boy you just saw in that picture is not the only one. There are loads. There are thousands of young people who are dying on a daily basis due to this refugee crisis. How do you feel about that? What are your views? What are your opinions? Jump onto Facebook, express yourself, and inshallah ta'ala, I will try my very best to read out the comments that you write. Not just that, but very recently I read an article which stated that there was 70 odd people in the back of a van trying to cross the border, trying to get into Europe, and these 70 people, all of these people died. Do you know why they died? They died because of the very fact that there was a lack of oxygen in the back of this van. And all 70 of these people died. My dear brothers, my dear sisters, this is the 21st century where we are hearing people dying of a lack of air or a lack of oxygen. Is that acceptable? Is that something we, as not just as Muslims, but as humans, as humanity, is that something that we can accept? Is that something that we can feel comfortable with, knowing that that is happening and live our lives as if everything is normal? I don't think so, my dear brothers and sisters. It's something that moves our iman, moves our hearts, and we must take some kind of action. What is that action? This is where you get involved. I'm not a politician, I don't have any political solutions, but I do have a platform to speak on, which I am doing so. And it is you who must get involved and give us ideas, give us solutions, give us points of actions that we can take. And inshallah ta'ala, we will air them and discuss them, and we can come together as a community to try to provide for these poor and suffering people across the border or fleeing in from other countries. My dear brothers and sisters, how sad is it? Can you imagine? For those who are parents, can you imagine how you must feel as a parent to see this image? Can you imagine as a parent how you must feel seeing your son or seeing your daughter at such a young age lying there on his or her stomach, dead? How must you feel? Can you imagine as a parent knowing that you must hold your children in dinghy boats, crossing the Mediterranean Sea, not knowing whether you're going to live or whether you are going to die? Can you imagine how a parent must feel knowing that his child might not make it? How sad is that? And on top of that, those people that decide to make this journey, they feel safer in these boats, in these monstrous conditions across the Mediterranean. They feel safer in these boats than they do in their own countries, under their own governments or their regimes that are killing them. Unfortunately, dear viewers, this journey is being made by thousands, and these people are being greeted on the shores of Greece and on the borders of Europe, and these cases are increasing. And as Muslims, what is our response? What should we do to help the refugees? How can we get involved? Dear viewers, this is your opportunity to bring your ideas forward, and I will try my very best to present them here live on air. Let's take a very short break here, and then when we come back, we will continue our discussion about this topic of the refugees. Not just that, we'll also have a look at some of the other elements, your emails, and some reports, hopefully. So let's take a short break here, and I'll see you in just a few moments.
Many people judge Islam based on what the Muslims do. The fact is, Islam is perfect, but the Muslims are not. However, it is not hard for us to implement, and there are ways for us to be the ideal Muslims. Join me, Dr. Rayyan Arab, in this new program, The Ideal Muslim, so that we could discover the ways of how we could be ideal Muslims.
Why are we fighting each other? Life is short, time runs away.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, dear viewers, after a very short break there, joining us live in the studio on our program, Viewers Pulse. Dear viewers, as we were discussing prior to the break, we're talking about the topic of the day. And the topic is none other than the refugee crisis. And many of you are getting involved in giving us your responses on our Facebook page. And I open my hand and I ask all of you to continue to get involved, to continue giving us your comments and your questions, if you have any, on this very subject. Dear viewers, the catastrophe is getting worse and worse. We as Muslims have a duty to help, not just Muslims. Yes, Allah tells us in the Quran that the believers are all Muslims, one brotherhood. But not just that, but even as humans, even humanity, if they were non-Muslims, wallahi, the Quran commands us to help these people, even if they were non-Muslims. Not just that, but let alone humans. Even if there were animals that were being treated in this way, Allah orders us to help them. But unfortunately, my dear viewers, that the vast majority of these refugees are Muslims. Let me just read to you what the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees said. He stated that in 2015, the percentage, the breakdown of these refugees, 49% of them were Syrians, 21% of them were from Afghanistan, and 8% of them were from Iraq. Now, when you look at the three countries that I've just made mention of, you said Syria, we said Iraq, and we said Afghanistan. Weren't these three countries at the hands of war? Weren't these three countries invaded by so-called superpowers? Weren't they bombarded by the so-called West? So where is their responsibility? Should they not be responsible for the chaos that has been created in these countries? Should they not be opening their doors and welcoming these people as a result of the war that's taken place? But do you know what is happening instead? Do you know the events that are taking place inside of Europe? And this is a reality, my dear brothers and sisters. It has been reported that certain countries have built metal fences stopping people from coming through. Not just that, but even certain countries have built massive barbed wires so that people can't get through. Not just that, when you thought that was bad enough, but there are even riot police, armed to the teeth, that are prepared to beat and to hit anybody that comes in their direction. And wallahi, these refugees, all they are seeking is just a safe place to live. They are seeking some food, some water, something to feed their children with. And they are being greeted, I wouldn't say all, but they are being greeted by riot police with batons and with all sorts of brutality. My dear brothers and sisters, I plead to you again, is this the modern world? Do we not have a solution for these people? Can we not put our minds and our efforts together and try to come with a solution? My dear viewers, like I made mention that these people are fleeing from their respective countries, just so you understand the brutality that's taking place in some of these countries. And let's take Syria, for example, because that was the largest percentage. 49% of the refugees were coming through from Syria, as the United Nations Commissioner for Refugees stated. If you look into a particular city inside of Syria by the name of Madaya, the people there are suffering. The people there are starving. The people there have no food, have no water. They are living on, I wouldn't even say minimum amounts of food. They are living on nothing. And they are virtually dying due to the hunger. And we have some images coming from this city, and hopefully you will be able to see those, and you will be able to see the conditions in which people are living. And then we will truly understand why is it that these people are fleeing from their countries, trying to find safety, trying to find some peace, trying to find some kind of success or something new in these other countries. Not just that, but even in this particular city known as Madaya, you will find that the people have resorted to eating grass. Can you imagine how you as a mother or you as a father would give your children boiled grass to eat? That's all you can provide for them. And it's not because your country doesn't have food, it's not because your country doesn't have the resources, rather your country is wealthy. It has all the resources possible. It is a very rich and wealthy nation. But because of the powers, because of the regimes involved, people are suffering. You can see that by the image there, a young boy. You can see his bones sticking out of his body, his arms, his chest, and that is due to the famine. That is due to the restrictions that have been placed by the government on this city. A rich country, a prosperous country, a country which is rich in resources, but its people are dying by their very own rulership. Not just that, but we have another image which shows you the conditions of the people who are eating grass, who are having to survive of these terrible conditions. So my dear viewers, once again we open our section for comments, for questions, for queries. It's for you to come forward and provide us with solutions. As I made mention before, I'm not a politician. I don't have the political solutions. But what I do have is a platform on this program to give you the opportunity to speak up and to present your views so that I can help in airing them, I can help in promoting them. Let me read out some of the comments that we have received on our Facebook page. One comes from Brother Hasim Sali, and he says, Ya Allah, I couldn't find words. I'm so sad, I'm so sad. This makes me cry. Oh Allah, ease the plight of these refugees over the world. Please, Ya Allah, protect them. Oh Allah, please protect them. So we can see how we, as all Muslims, we are concerned with the events that are taking place in various countries. And those images there of those that young child is very disturbing, and it makes us very upset, and we need to do something. But what is it that we can do? Only you, the viewers, can present us with these solutions, with your ideas. Let me read you another comment that comes from Sister Sophia and Sophia Morgan, and she responds, she says, the mind races, the heart is filled with sorrow, and the tongue is weak, subhanallah. And then she makes dua for these people. May Allah protect these people. May Allah make them safe. Sister Sophia, your comments are appreciated very much and shared greatly. Then we have another comment coming from Ligaya, and he says, this is very sad. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Dear brothers and sisters, we can see from your comments that you share the same sentiment, that the situation is very bad, it's very severe, and we need to do something about it. So let's hear your possible solutions. What will you bring forward? Let me remind you of something, dear viewers. These countries that have been mentioned, like Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, these countries were very prosperous countries, very rich countries. Not just that, but if you look at Islamic tradition, you'll find that these were the countries of the prophets. These were the lands in which the prophets of Allah, the best of mankind, walked upon and taught the beautiful faith of Tawheed, the beautiful faith of Islam. And now these are the very same countries where people are fleeing from them, running away from them because of the tyranny that is taking place. My dear viewers, all of us in our comfortable environments, in our comfortable settings, we feel that this could never happen to us. That's exactly what these people felt. They had everything at their fingertips. They enjoyed, they had a good life. These people are not beggars. They were doctors, they were engineers, they were teachers. But the circumstances dictated and times changed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself, He says in the Quran, وَتِلْكَ الْأَيَّامُ نُدَاوِلُهَا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ, that these are the days that Allah changes amongst the people. One time you will be prosperous and rich, then another time you will be poor and you will be suffering. This is the way that Allah's system works. So for me and you, maybe we feel safe right now. But for how long? How long do you think that you will live in this safety or in this bubble that you have? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's test can come at any time and can come to anybody at any time. So we must be aware of that. We must be conscious of what is going on around the world. And we must get engaged and must help these people. Because if we were on the other side, what would we expect them to do for us? What would we do? So, my dear viewers, you can see the situation there is very dire, and our comments and our phone lines are all open, and we want to hear what you have to say. But before we continue on that, let me go back to some of your emails, which we have gathered over the last week. And your emails are many, so I will have to select just a few. We have an email coming from Muhaba, and she writes, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am a Muslim. My name is Muhaba Hassan from Ethiopia. I love you all very much, and I would like for you to be more successful. And I would also like to get involved in da'wah, and also you are my best role model, alhamdulillah. MashaAllah, we have a beautiful comment coming to us all the way from Ethiopia, thanking us for the efforts of the channel. And MashaAllah, we thank you very much, Mubaha, for your comments and your encouragement. These comments go to all of those involved in the channel, be those in front of the camera or be those behind the camera. And if you want to get involved in da'wah, there are so many different ways in which you can do that. We've had discussions and episodes on that. First and foremost, you can get involved with us through our Facebook page, and then we can direct you from there in other projects. Or you can do your own local community work as you see fit. So, Mubaha, thank you very much for your beautiful email. Let's move over to the next one, which comes from Sister Deborah. And she writes, Assalamu alaikum. Can you help me, inshallah? I am looking for 30 days of dua for Ramadan. I want to send to my friends one dua every day. Please help me. Thank you in advance. Sister Deborah, that's a fantastic idea. I mean, you've just encouraged us to produce something, inshallah ta'ala, for the holy month of Ramadan. Why could not we could possibly produce a daily dua for every day of Ramadan, which we can memorize and which we can use, and inshallah ta'ala, which we can get reward from. Let me also make mention here at this point that there are a number of different programs being prepared for Ramadan, especially for Ramadan. So stay up to date with the TV. Join them on the Facebook page, and you will see the variety of programs that we have ready for you in Ramadan. Not just that, but hopefully tomorrow there will be a brand new program, Gems of the Quran, talking about some of the beauties inside of the Quran. It will be a weekly program, so do tune into that, and you can benefit from the du'as and the virtues of the Quran on a weekly basis as well. But we will definitely try, Deborah, to find something more precise in response to your email and try to get that out to you. So thank you very much for that email. We have our third email, which comes from Sana, and she says, Assalamu alaikum, brother. Did Dr. Salah appear on yesterday's show? When will he be back? And give us a big smile as an emotion there. Of course, Sister Sana, unfortunately, Sheikh Salah is not back yet. He's involved in a conference, but he will be back next Monday, hopefully. But we do have a number of programs recorded by him, so inshallah ta'ala, those will be very beneficial. Stay tuned for those, especially on Ask Huda. But he will be with us next Monday, and inshallah ta'ala, you can present him, should I say, with your questions and your comments. Our final email goes to Ibyi, and he writes, I love you and your program for the sake of Allah. Isn't that fantastic? I love it when I read an email where somebody opens up their heart to us and expresses their emotion, their feeling. It makes me smile. It makes me very happy when somebody says, I love you for the sake of Allah. Wallahi, we at this channel, we love all of you. All of our viewers, you are very dear to us all. We think about you on a daily basis. Wallahi, we try our very best to produce those programs which you want to see, which are going to provide you with the maximum benefit. And we try our very best to be as professional and as good as we can. And you say, you love us, and we respond by saying, we love you also for the sake of Allah. And we hope that we are benefiting you with these programs. So, dear viewers, let us move over to another part of our program where we look at some wise words or some comments or some quotes from scholars from around the world. Now, these group of scholars are working very hard with us here on Huda TV. Some of those sit in front of our cameras and present programs and answer your questions. Some of those are abroad and they work with us, giving us support, giving us advice, giving us their comments. But we have a collection of these words of wisdom or comments in front of us, and we would like to share them with you as we are one big family and we want to share the good news together. So let me start off by reading to a comment which comes to us from our respected scholar, Dr. Bilal Phillips. Dr. Bilal Phillips is, mashallah ta'ala, a very active da'i, and he has opened his own university, works very hard. And listen to what he has to say. Oh Allah, lift my heart, relieve my burdens, and make me of those who put their trust in you for all their affairs. Ameen. Subhanallah, Dr. Bilal Phillips is reminding us of the tawheed of Allah, the oneness of Allah, and our tawakkul, how we can be conscious and be dependent upon the one and only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What a beautiful dua. I think that also, Sister Deborah, you can take that as being your first dua which you can send to your friend about having your reliance upon Allah Azza wa Jal, pure reliance upon our Creator. Now let's move over to the second comment, and this comment comes from our very own Sheikh, who's been asked for in the last few programs. People are asking us a lot of the times, where has he gone, when is he coming back on his live program, Ask Huda and Gardens of the Pious, and that is Dr. Muhammad Salah. And he writes in a very beautiful comment, congratulations, the grand opening of the biggest Islamic center in the US, in Washington, and it's built by the Turkish government. May Allah bless the Muslims all over the world, and congratulations to our Muslim community in Washington. So Dr. Muhammad Salah there is congratulating the Muslims of Washington DC, and also congratulating the Turkish government, which really deserves a lot of praise for working very closely with the Muslims across the world, supporting their causes and being connected with the affairs of the Muslims. So Dr. Muhammad Salah, thank you very much for your beautiful words. And the people of Washington DC, again, mashallah ta'ala, this is the fruit of your hard work. When Muslims come together, this is what they can produce. When Muslims put their hands and their minds together, this is how successful and how prosperous we can be. And that is something definitely to be proud of, something that we need to show thankfulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for, and also we say a great thanks to the Turkish government for their support. Now our third comment comes to us from Rian Fawzi Arab. And Brother Rian, as you've been aware, has been very active with the TV, very recently producing a number of programs, working with us on a number of different ideas, and being a guest on a number of programs as well. He's very active in da'wah, he's very active and prosperous as well at the same time. In last week's program, we heard that Brother Rian, his work and his team, mashallah ta'ala, produced up to 30 people accepting Islam. And so this week he writes, I am pleased with Allah's decision and patient to life's test. I would never question why Allah chose a certain plan for me, because there is no doubt that Allah's plans are the best. Alhamdulillah. Brother Rian Fawzi is showing his content, his happiness with the plans of Allah, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's choices and decisions one must be satisfied with. And that's wise words from Brother Rian, that even in times of thick and thin, times of difficulty, times of ease, one must be content and be happy that this is the test from Allah. And Allah does not burden anybody with that which you cannot handle. So Brother Rian is reminding us there of being patient and being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brother Rian writes another comment, another beautiful response, and in this response he talks about his mother. So let's read this response and let's see what he has to say. Brother Rian Fawzi Arab, he writes, "My mother's hand was the last thing I kissed. My mother's hand was the last thing I kissed before she died, and her foot was the last thing I kissed before I buried her. Cling onto your mother before she goes, because she can never be replaced. Oh Allah, have mercy on my mother and raise her status." My dear viewers, our respected Sheikh Rian Fawzi Arab, his mother passed away during the last week, and as he's made mention there, that his mother's hand was the last thing he kissed, and it was her foot that he kissed before he buried her. So please, we ask you all to make dua for Sheikh Rian and for his mother. And we ask Allah to make him more patient, and we ask Allah to give his mother the highest place in paradise, and that is Al-Firdaus. So we ask Allah to accept that. That takes us to our third comment from our respected scholar Rian Fawzi Arab, and in this third comment he talks about the Holy Quran, and mashallah ta'ala he has lots of words of wisdom, lots of beautiful comments which he writes. In this particular comment he says, "Let us study the Quran, but as for those whose faces turn white, they will be within the mercy of Allah. They will abide therein eternally, and it will call paradise mercy to show that it can only be obtained by the grace and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." Now here Brother Rian Fawzi is quoting a verse from the Quran which shows on that day, Yawm al-Qiyamah, the day of judgment, the day of resurrection, when we will stand in front of Allah and we will give account of what we have done. For those that will be successful, Allah says their faces will be bright. There will be light gleaming out of their faces that one can tell this is a successful person. And on that day, the person who failed the test, the person who failed to worship the oneness of Allah, the person who recognized Allah but yet was disobedient and went in contrary to his teachings, on that day his face will be dark and gloomy, and he will be destined to the hellfire. And Brother Rian Fawzi gives us that beautiful reminder there, so we thank him very, very much. Now that brings us to our sixth comment of the week, and this is coming from our well-respected, well-loved Sheikh Yasir Qadi, who works very hard in the States with his community and travels across the globe, going to India, recently in the UK, working hard to promote the peaceful teachings of Al-Islam, and is very much engaged with us as well at Huda TV and works with us and cooperates with us very well. So we'd like to thank him for that. And he writes something which is really heart-moving. So let us read this together, and I want you to read this not just with your eyes, but I want you to comprehend it with your hearts and with your minds. It's something new, but it's something very interesting. So let me read it out to you. Yasir Qadi says, fun fact: the name of the Muslim land, Andalusia, is linked to the English word vandalism. How so? Andalusia got its name before the Muslims conquered it in the 8th century CE. Southern Spain was invaded by a Nordic race called the Vandals, and the people of that region then called that portion of southern Spain the land of the Vandals, or in their language, as they didn't pronounce the V, Andalusia. Separate to this fact, as the Vandals made their way down Europe, conquering and invading other lands, at one point in time they even invaded Rome and defaced Roman buildings and temples, just as the Romans did when they conquered other lands. The Romans were, of course, incised, and hence term vandalism was coined to describe this religious destruction, eventually entered the English language to indicate the deliberate and mischievous act of defacing buildings or property. Who would have thought that the word vandalism comes all the way from Roman intervention and destruction of buildings, and then vandalism, when you take off the V because they don't pronounce the V, becomes Andalusia. Subhanallah. Sheikh Yasser Qadi there giving us some interesting facts about Andalusia. So we thank you very much, Sheikh Yasser, for giving us that beautiful piece there. Our very last comment comes from our scholar Imtiaz Demiel, who mashallah works very hard with Mercy Mission and also works very hard with us at Huda TV. So we'd like to thank him for his efforts first and foremost. And secondly, I'd like to read out his comment that he puts forward to us. He says, primary school children are attempting suicide because of exam pressures. Too much homework and cyberbullying. Teachers have revealed as a new survey warning suicidal thoughts and among pupils are out of control. SubhanAllah, what a phenomenon that is. Primary school students, that means students under the age of 10 are thinking or having suicidal tendencies. SubhanAllah, how can that be the case? What is going wrong? And he blames that on exam pressures and cyber bullying. I mean, this is the era of social networking. This is the time of Facebook and Twitter. But once these items are abused, unfortunately, cyberbullying can be the result of that. So we can see how Brother Sheikh Imtiaz is reminding us of that, and he's saying it is out of control. Of course, any suicidal tendencies, especially that in young children, is unacceptable and needs to be addressed. So for those involved in schools, please do address this issue and please try to rectify the problems there. So we'd like to thank all of the scholars for giving us their beautiful comments and giving us their words of wisdom. And also, Sheikh Yasser, thank you for that interesting fact, I would say. Now, dear viewers, let's come back to our thought of the day where you are getting involved. Of course, the crisis of the refugees is a very sad story, and we as Muslims must play our part. We must become active in this. You know, it surprises me sometimes that we as Muslims are not small in number. We are huge in number. Do you know that in the UK alone, that we are 4 million Muslims? Do you know that in Egypt alone, there are up to 80 million Muslims? Do you know that in France, there are up to 6 million Muslims? Germany, 5.5 Muslims. America, 3 million Muslims. Yet, this large number of Muslims, what are we doing to help the refugee crisis? What are we doing? Coming together in trying to produce a solution, trying to come out with some kind of effort to make this problem or to try to solve this problem. I do have some ideas and I do have some possible solutions, but I will give you those after a very short report about cosmic proofs. Let's move over. Let's watch this report, one of our top programs here on Huda TV, and then when we come back, we'll have a look at some possible solutions that I come up with, and maybe you can advise me on whether you agree or you disagree. So let's move over to the short report on cosmic proofs.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, I greet you with the warmest greeting ever known to man. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. And at the same time, I wish peace and blessings to be upon the greatest man amongst the greatest men who walked on this earth, the Prophet Muhammad. May peace and blessings be upon him. Dear viewers, I welcome you to Huda Presents Cosmic Proofs. And I open with this question to you. How well do you know the one who caused the Big Bang? Come on in. Welcome. What is the position of total submission but for one to put his head on the ground and cry? If you don't know God, what hope do you have of the hereafter? If you do know God, what hope do you know of the hereafter? It is said, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, for thou is the kingdom and the power and the glory. Amen. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Malik Yawm Ad-Din. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. All praise and thanks are due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the most benefit, the most merciful, the owner of the day of judgment. You alone do we worship, and you alone do we seek for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those who you bestowed your grace, not those who've earned your anger or those who've gone astray. One of these prayers that I've just said come directly from God. The other one, you think it came from Jesus, but I don't think so. But we'll soon find out. Welcome to Cosmic Proofs. Today, we are talking about how did the prophets of God pray in the Bible. I'd like to introduce you to our host, Dr. Naif. Alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And Dr. Saud.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alhamdulillah. And our dear guests, please, if you could introduce yourselves, please.
Salim Abdullah Morgan from California.
MashaAllah. Welcome, sir.
محمد الراشد وزارة التربية والتعليم.
From Saudi. MashaAllah. Welcome.
Abdelaziz Shohab, scénographe et décorateur.
Abdelaziz, welcome.
Abdullah Jinmist de France.
Abdelaziz, welcome.
Nadir Ibrahim from Amsterdam.
MashaAllah. Welcome.
Abdullah Muslim, Chicago, USA.
MashaAllah. Welcome.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, dear viewers, after watching a short report there about Cosmic Proofs, knowing about the creator of the Big Bang. So do tune in and do watch this particular program on our channel, Huda TV. Dear viewers, coming back to our topic of the day, and that is the refugee crisis. I want to make a few points here before we end our program and read some of your comments as well. First and foremost, I want to remind all of the viewers, including myself, when we look at these tragic events that are taking place across the globe, we should not fall into despair. The very first thing that every Muslim can do is to show thankfulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He did not put you in that test, because you don't know what you will do in that response. Should not we be grateful for the very fact that we are able to go home and see our children and to hug our children, to see our wives and to smile in their faces? Does it not, or should we not be grateful to the fact that when our children leave the houses in the morning, that they will return home and you'll be able to sit down and have dinner together? Should we not be thankful? Should we not be grateful? What are the ways in which we can be thankful and be grateful? Number one is by saying Alhamdulillah, by showing gratitude on your tongue. Secondly, by your actions. You need to increase in your obedience to Allah and refrain from sinning to the Creator. Read more of the Quran, do more of your prayers, give more in sadaqah, give more in charity. We must get more involved. That's the very basic. But if we want to go above the basics, then we must get involved and we must do work as a community, come together collectively to try and provide some kind of solutions. Some of those at the top of my head, possibly lobbying our governments, those that are involved in this war, to stop war. We don't want war on any type or in any place. Petition, have some kind of lobby groups, some kind of pressure groups in trying to stop them in sending their armies and sending their bombs into these countries where innocent people are dying. You can start off writing petitions, donations, give your extra clothing that's in your cupboard, all those clothes, shoes, the things that you don't even use, lying there in bags for years. Give them away to these poor people that are dying from cold and hunger. Let's be more involved. Let's be more enthusiastic, my dear brothers and sisters. It's our responsibility. Wallahi, Allah tells us in the Quran that we are one family. And the Prophet ﷺ said, a true believer is one that loves for his brother what he loves for himself. And I'm sure nobody loves to see what these people are going through. Before I conclude, I want to read some comments that have come to us on our Facebook page. Our first comment comes from those involved in senior members in Huda TV, and they write, it's moved me to cry, not over him but over the ummah whose people are becoming as many as the foam on the sea water at times of floods. It is just so heartbreaking, and I am crying. So we can see there that here the writer is alluding to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he said that at the end of times you will be so many in number, but yet you will be useless like the foam that is on the sea. Those are the words of the Prophet ﷺ, and I think we can see that in action. Our very last comment comes from Pau Dudu, who says, this is very sad, seeing a young boy of his age dead lying on the sea. May Allah make it easy for my Syrian brothers and sisters. Ameen. So dear viewers, we can see that we are all concerned and that we are all worried about this, and inshallah ta'ala we will take action. The very last thing I will say to you before I conclude is that Allah in the Quran, He tells us that these people, they plot and they plan, makaru. Okay, they make their plans, but makarullah, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also plots and plans. Wallahu khairul makirin, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of the plotters and the planners. The victory of Islam and the victory of truth and the victory of justice will always prevail over anything else, and Islam will rise, and inshallah ta'ala we will see the justice that we are seeking. My dear brothers and sisters, I will conclude on that note, and I will see you on my next week's program on Viewers Pulse. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We'll talk about Huda, we'll talk about our way. Come join us and have your say. Let's talk about our way. Remember, you are not alone. Huda is the light in your home. We'll talk about Huda, we'll talk about our way. Come join us and have your say. Let's talk about our way. Remember, you are not alone. Huda is the light in your home. Remember, you are not alone. Huda is the light in your home.